Hello, I'm Mr. Smith. Let's get started. How to make a train, part 1. Okay, so we're going to start making the train, and at this stage I've just got a piece of wood for the base. I'm sanding it down to make sure that it's nice and smooth so I don't get a splinter, and then I'm going to start marking out for how long I want the train to be. I'll put some measurements on the actual drawing itself just so it's clear exactly how big I want it. So I'm going to place the ruler on the edge of the piece of wood and mark off the distance that I want. So in this case I think it was about 150 millimeters. I'm going to then use the tri-square, push the stock tightly against the edge of the piece of wood, and then make sure the blade's 90 degrees, and then draw a line. I'll mark down the edge of the piece of wood so that when I'm sawing I can check to see if it's going straight down as well. So do a little dot just so you can see, and then put your tri-square on, and then mark up down the edge. The piece of wood then gets placed into the bent chuck. You're going to pull back 3 times just to hold it nice and firmly in place. Pull back 3 times to make sure it's lining up on both sides. And then you can start pushing through, just gently cutting, and keep checking that you're going straight down the line. Okay, when you finish, just sand it down to make sure that it's smooth again, make sure you've got no splinters. Okay, now I'm going to mark out for the triangle section on the front of the train. So I'm going to position or measure down 2 centimeters on either side. A little dot on either side, 2 centimeters in. Then find the middle. I think it was 68 millimeters across, so I'm looking for 34 millimeters, put a dot. And then just draw from the outside dot to the middle, and then repeat on the other side. Now here, I'm going to create a little curved section at the back for where it needs to be like a little trailer that you put on the back of the train. So I'm just going to do like a little curve at the end. So what I've done is I've used a piece of paper, drawn out the curve, and make a little template so that the curve's the same on both sides. So you now position it where you want it to be. Carefully hold it down and then draw along the line. You can then flip it over, and then hopefully that means that both curves will be the same, and it will look even. Okay, now I'm going to start sawing along this line to cut this bit off. So I'm going to clamp down the piece of wood to the bent chuck, the quick release clamp, and then I'm just going to saw straight down that gap. So remember to pull back to get the initial cut, and then cut through. Okay, so at this stage, I'm just going to sand that down. Okay, now I'm going to use the coping saw to cut out the little curves. I could use a Hegner or a fret saw for this. I'm going to use the coping saw to show different skills and using different equipment. So I'm going to place it into taking the bent chuck out, place it into the vise. I've set up the coping saw so it's straight. I've made sure that the blade is running straight by just twisting little sections there and there. And then I'm going to slowly start cutting through. Okay, so at this stage I'm just going to use a rounded file just to file off any edges and smooth it out. So I'm just cross-filing into the piece of wood. Now I've wrapped a bit of sandpaper around the file and I'm going to sand it down with the file. Okay, so I've taken the sandpaper off the file and just finish off with by hand, just to make sure there's no edges that are rough. Okay, so at this stage I'm going to make the cabin for the train. So I'm going to mark out, I've put the measurements on the drawing, so I'm going to use those measurements to work out how big it needs to be. So I've just measured across, put the tri-square on to get 90 degrees, and then I'm lining up the width of the cabin. And I'm going to measure the depth now of the cabin to get the right height. We've got two sides which will be exactly the same, and then one little square piece that will be on the other side of the engine. I also need to mark out where the circles are going to be, where I'm going to drill my holes for the circles. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is I need to drill the holes first where the windows are going to be in the side of the cabin. So I'm going to put a scrap piece of wood down on the table first, then clamp it down with a quick release clamp so it doesn't move around, and then I'm going to get the drill bit that is appropriate for the size of hole that I'm going to drill. Okay, so this is a Forstner bit. It's a 25mm distance from one side to the other, which is perfect for the size of window that I want. Got my safety glasses on, line it up with the hole where the dots where I put where the windows need to go, and then just carefully drill through the first layer of wood. Being obviously very careful you don't go through both pieces to the table. At this stage I'm going to use the Hegner. I'm going to turn on the extractor and then make sure that the guide is set to the right depth so that it's just above the 3mm MDF. And very carefully I'm going to drill a saw along the lines, trying to make sure that I don't drift off it so that it'll cut down on the amount of cuts I have to do. So if I go down here and then come along here, I'll cut the pieces up. I'm going to use the belt sander. Again, make sure the extractor's on. I'm just going to use a little set square just to make sure that the edges are 90 degrees. I'm just going to take a tiny little bit of the material off, not very much because I don't want to cut into the material too much to make it small. So just rotate it around, a little nudge on there, and repeat on the other pieces. You can put one on top of the other if they're supposed to be exactly the same to make sure that they are the same. So you'll see here in a second I will put them on top to make sure they're both the same. Next step, watch the next video called How to Make a Train Part 2. You can find more helpful information on Mr. K. Smith on YouTube. Please subscribe, like and leave a comment. Thank you.